The night my friend's mom looked me in the eyes and asked, "Did you see the photo?" I knew nothing in my life was going to feel normal again. My name is Jake. I am 23 and live in a small one-bedroom apartment on the south side of Denver. The place is old and a little beat up. The heater rattles when it turns on, the fridge hums all night, and my bedroom window sticks if I open it too far. But the rent is cheap, and it is mine, so I try not to complain. I work at a cell phone repair shop in a strip mall near downtown. Most of my days are cracked screens, dead batteries, and people who swear they did nothing before their phone just stopped working. It is not a dream job, but it pays for groceries, gas, and the faded couch in my living room. My life is simple. I wake up, grab a coffee from the drive-thru on the corner, head to work, come home, eat something quick, and then zone out with video games or Netflix. I have friends, but I really only hang out with one of them now. Ryan. He has been my best friend since middle school, back when we still traded baseball cards and rode bikes everywhere. He is 24, works as a delivery driver, and lives with his mom in a quiet neighborhood on the edge of the city. Ryan's mom is Claire. I have known her for over 10 years. When we were kids, she was the one who drove us to school games and let us stay up late on weekends. She used to bring us snacks when we were glued to the TV playing multiplayer games. She is 42 now, I think. She works from home as an online fitness coach and sometimes posts workout videos. She has light brown hair, green eyes, and this calm way of talking that makes you feel like she is actually listening when you speak. Growing up, I always just thought of her as Ryan's mom. Safe, kind, off limits. That Saturday started out like any other. It was early fall, one of those clear days when the air feels sharp but the sun is still warm. Ryan came over after his shift with a box of pizza and a pack of energy drinks. We ate on the couch, yelling at the game on my TV and talking trash like we always do. The living room was a mess, with open boxes, empty cans, and controllers tangled in their own cords. Around 10, Ryan's phone buzzed a few times. He checked it, groaned, and said he had to go. His uncle needed help with something early the next morning. He grabbed his jacket and stepped into his shoes by the door. "If you see my phone lying around, text me," he said as he left. "I always lose that thing." I tossed him a lazy salute. "Got it. I'll rescue your stuff like always." When the door closed behind him, the apartment felt extra quiet. I let the game run on the TV while I picked up the trash. I tossed the empty pizza box, stacked the cans, and started lifting cushions off the couch to find the missing controller. That is when I saw it. A phone was half buried between the cushion and the armrest. I grabbed it without thinking, expecting Ryan's beat-up Android with the cracked corner and peeling case. Instead, I found a slim iPhone with a smooth, dark blue case. The case was soft to the touch and smelled faintly like some kind of clean perfume, not the stale fast food smell Ryan always carried around. I frowned and turned it over in my hand. This was not his phone. Then it hit me. A memory of the week before, when Claire had stopped by my place to drop off a homemade lasagna because she made too much. She had sat on this same couch for a few minutes, laughing about how Ryan still did not know how to cook anything that did not come in a box. She must have left it here, I thought. As I held the phone, the screen suddenly lit up with a soft buzz. A notification slid down from the top. I did not mean to snoop, but the phone reacted to my touch, and the message opened. It was from some unknown contact, just a first name and a heart emoji. Under it, a photo filled the screen. I froze. It was Claire. She was standing in her bedroom, I guessed, with a soft yellow lamp behind her. She wore a simple black dress that hugged her body, nothing too revealing, but it fit her in a way that made my chest tighten. The neckline dipped just enough to tease, and the dress brushed mid-thigh. Her hair was down over one shoulder, a soft wave falling against her collarbone. Her head was tilted slightly, and her eyes were locked on the camera with a look I had never seen on her before. Confident, strong, a little vulnerable, very real. It was not some wild picture. It was just intimate, personal, like something you send when you want someone to see you, not just your clothes or your smile, but you as a whole person. My heart hammered in my chest. I was suddenly very aware that I was standing alone in my living room, staring at my best friend's mom on a screen like I had no right to. My fingers tightened around the phone for a second. Then I forced myself to lock it and set it down on the coffee table. My face felt hot. My ears burned. I stepped back like the phone might bite me. "What are you doing, Jake?" I thought. "You were not supposed to see that. That was not for you." But the picture stayed in my mind anyway. The curve of her shoulders, the softness in her eyes, the way she looked like she knew exactly who she was. Claire, not just Ryan's mom. A woman. I tried to shake it off. I went to the kitchen, opened the fridge, and grabbed a soda I did not really want. I leaned against the counter, staring at the dull light inside the fridge like it could erase my brain. My chest still felt tight. My palms were sweaty. I hated that a simple photo had done this to me. I was about to sit back down and distract myself with the game when there was a knock at the door. 3 quick taps. Confident. Not like a stranger. My stomach dropped. I knew who it was before I even looked through the peephole. I opened the door, and there she was. Claire stood in the hallway with one hand on her hip, her hair pulled back into a loose ponytail. She wore a soft gray sweatshirt and black leggings, like she had just come from a walk or a workout. No heavy makeup, just a little color on her lips and that natural glow she always seemed to have. The hallway light caught tiny gold flecks in her green eyes. "Hey, Jake," she said, her voice warm and steady. "Sorry to drop by so late." Her eyes flicked past my shoulder into the apartment and then down to the coffee table where her phone lay. A small smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. "Looks like I left something important behind." I stepped aside quickly, my throat suddenly dry. "Yeah, I found it in the couch. I think you forgot it last time you were here." She walked past me into the living room, her scent drifting in with her. Something light and warm, like vanilla and clean soap. She picked up the phone and turned it over in her hand. "Thank you for keeping it safe," she said, glancing up at me. For a second, the room went quiet. The TV screen was still paused on a bright racing track, but all I could hear was my heartbeat in my ears. Claire's gaze held mine, steady and calm. But there was something else there too, like she was trying to read what I was not saying out loud. Then she took a slow breath and slid the phone into her back pocket. "Jake," she said softly, tilting her head just a little. "Can I ask you something?" My chest tightened. "Sure," quote. Her eyes did not leave my face. Her voice dropped lower, not harsh, just careful. "Did you see the photo?" My first instinct was to say no, to laugh it off, to pretend I had not seen anything, to protect myself and her and whatever line was still standing between us. But when Claire asked, "Did you see the photo?" she was looking right at me. Not like a mom scolding a kid, but like a woman who already knew the answer and wanted to see if I would lie. My mouth went dry. My heart slammed against my ribs. For a second, I thought about faking it. "What photo?" Or, "Your screen just lit up, I locked it." Something easy, something safe. But the words would not come. My voice felt small when I finally spoke. "Yeah," I said. "It popped up when the screen turned on. I didn't mean to, but yeah, I saw it." Claire did not look away. Her face did not twist with anger or embarrassment. Instead, something softer passed through her eyes, like she was relieved. I was being honest. She let out a quiet breath. "Thank you," she said. That was not the response I expected. I blinked. "For what?" Quote. "For not pretending," she replied. "For not lying to me." She stepped farther into the living room and sat on the edge of my couch, right where Ryan had been earlier. I stayed standing for a second, awkward, hands half in my pockets, half out. She patted the cushion beside her. "Sit, Jake. I promise I'm not here to chew you out." I sat down, leaving a little space between us, but it still felt way too close. I could feel the warmth of her body, could smell that soft vanilla scent on her skin. The TV screen cast a faint glow over the room. Claire looked at the coffee table, then at me. "What did you think when you saw it?" Quote. No idea would have been a lie. Nothing would have been even worse. My fingers twisted together. I stared at a loose thread on my jeans. "I thought you looked good," I said, my voice low, like you were really confident, like you knew who you were. There. Simple. True. She was quiet for a long moment. When I finally looked up, she was watching me with an unreadable expression, not mocking, not shocked, just thoughtful. "Most people," she said slowly, "would have just said, 'sorry,' and never looked at me again." "I am sorry," I said quickly. "I really didn't mean to see it. It just appeared." "I know," she said. "I believe you." She reached into her pocket, pulled out the phone, and turned it in her hand. "I took that photo a few months ago," she said, her voice softer now. "I never posted it anywhere, never sent it to anyone." She gave a short, almost shy laugh. I took it for me, to remind myself I'm still a woman, not just a mom. Those last words hung in the air. I had known Claire for years. I knew the story in pieces. Ryan's dad left when Ryan was a kid. Claire worked 2 jobs for a while, then built her online coaching thing from scratch. She was the strong one, the responsible one, the steady one. It never really hit me that she might feel like she got lost in all of that. "I get that," I said quietly. "At least, I think I do." She turned toward me a little. "You do?" I shrugged, feeling my cheeks heat. I mean, not the mom part, but the being more than what people think you are part. Everyone sees me as the kid who fixes phones, the guy who plays games with their son. No one really stops to wonder if I'm anything else. Claire's gaze stayed on me. "And are you?" The question caught me off guard. No one had asked me that before. Not like that. "I'd like to be," I said after a second. "I'd like to do something that matters. Be someone who matters." "You do," she said, and she did not say it in a fake, polite way. She said it like she meant every word. "You show up. You work hard. You're kind. That matters more than you think." My chest tightened at that. It was such a simple thing to say, but it hit deeper than I expected. She looked down at her phone again, then back up. "Did it make you uncomfortable?" she asked. "Seeing me like that?" I swallowed. "A little," I admitted. "Not because of you, just because you're Ryan's mom, and I wasn't supposed to see it. But also—" She waited. "Also what?" "Also, you're beautiful. Also, you looked like you were standing there, daring someone to really see you. Also, it made my heart race in a way I do not know how to explain." "I saw you," I said slowly, "not just as Ryan's mom, as you, and that kind of surprised me." Silence stretched between us. Her eyes softened, and she smiled, but it was not a big smile. It was small and real. "You're the first person to say that," she said, "to say they saw me." The room felt too small. The air felt thick. I did not know what to do with my hands, my eyes, any of it, so I just sat there, breathing, feeling my pulse in my throat. Claire glanced at the window. "It's getting late. I should go." She stood up, slipping her phone back into her pocket. Then she paused and turned back to me. "Jake?" "Yeah?" "Ryan is going out of town next weekend," she said. "He's going to visit his dad for a couple of days." She studied my face for a reaction. "Would you like to come over for dinner one night? Just you and me, to talk. Not about Ryan, not about phones, just us." My brain short-circuited for a second. My first thought was Ryan. My second thought was every line I had been taught not to cross. My third was the way it felt when she said she saw me. "Are you sure?" I asked, my voice rough. "I mean, I don't want to make anything weird." She gave a soft laugh. "Things are already a little weird, don't you think?" Quote. I could not argue with that, she went on. "I'm sure." I wouldn't ask if I wasn't. She hesitated, then added, "I like talking to you, Jake. You listen. You don't just wait for your turn to speak. That's rare." My heart pounded. My hands were sweating. But under all the nerves there was something else. A pull. A quiet yes that started somewhere deep and worked its way up. "Okay," I said. "Yeah, I'll come." "Good." She smiled, and this time it reached all the way to her eyes. "Friday at 7. I'll text you the details." "Okay," I repeated. because my brain could not form anything smarter. She moved toward the door and I followed. At the doorway, she turned and looked at me one more time. Her voice dropped low. "For what it's worth," she said, "I'm not upset you saw that photo. I'm glad it was you and not someone who would have made a joke about it." Quote, "I would never," I said, the words leaving my mouth before I could think, "I'd never treat you like that." "I know," she said. Then, without thinking too much, she reached out and let her fingers brush my forearm. It was a small touch, light, but it felt like a spark ran up my skin. "Good night, Jake." "Good night," I managed. The door closed behind her with a soft click. I stood there in the quiet, staring at the empty space she had just been in. My heart was still racing. My thoughts were a mess. I knew what I should feel: guilty, confused, worried. Instead, all I could feel was that something had shifted. She was not just my best friend's mom anymore, and Friday at 7 was suddenly the only thing in my future that mattered. The days leading up to Friday felt like someone had hit slow motion on my life and turned up the volume on my thoughts. At work, I kept dropping screws and misplacing tiny phone parts because my head was somewhere else. Customers would be talking to me about storage plans or broken chargers, and I would nod and say the right words, but in my mind, I was back in my living room, sitting on that couch with Claire, hearing her say she was glad it was me who saw the photo. I told no one. Not my coworkers, not my roommate from my old place over text, especially not Ryan. When he messaged me about some football game, I answered like everything was normal. When he asked if I could cover his shift on Saturday if he switched with someone, I said sure. I acted like my heart did not speed up every time my phone buzzed. Claire texted me on Wednesday. Her, "Friday is still good for you." Me, "Yeah, still good." Her, "Any food allergies or drama I should know about?" Me, "None. I eat almost anything." Her, "Good. That makes my life easier." I stared at that last message for a long time. I started wondering what she would wear, what we would talk about, if I would say something stupid and ruin the whole night. I also wondered what I was doing. She was my best friend's mom. This was just dinner. Just talking. That was all. But deep down, I knew it was not really just that. Friday came faster than I expected. My stomach was tight all day. I tried to focus on tasks at the shop. I cleaned my tools twice. I took apart and reassembled the same old demo phone just to keep my hands busy. When my boss told me I could leave a little early, I almost said no because I did not know what to do with extra time. Back at my apartment, I showered, changed clothes, then changed again. I ended up in dark jeans and a clean black t-shirt with a casual jacket. Simple, not trying too hard, but not lazy either. I checked myself in the mirror and shook my head. "You are overthinking this," I muttered. Still, I grabbed my keys and left 10 minutes earlier than I needed to. Her neighborhood looked different now. I had been there hundreds of times with Ryan, riding shotgun in his car, walking up the path with a backpack and an energy drink in hand. This time, the houses felt quieter. The sky was a deep blue, the streetlights just starting to turn on. Warm lamps glowed in front windows. It felt like the whole block was watching me park my car. I sat there for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, breathing. Then, I stepped out and walked up to her porch. Before I could knock, the door opened. Claire stood there in the doorway, and for a second I forgot how to speak. She wore a simple dark green dress that fell just above her knees. It had short sleeves and a soft neckline. Nothing flashy, but on her it looked perfect. Her hair was down, brushed smooth over her shoulders. She wore small gold earrings and light makeup that made her eyes look even greener. "Jake," she said, and the way she said my name made my chest tighten. "You are right on time." I held up the small box in my hand. I brought dessert. Cheesecake from that place downtown you said you liked." Her face softened into a smile. "You remembered." She stepped back and motioned me inside. The smell of garlic, herbs, and something warm and rich drifted from the kitchen. The house felt different without Ryan's loud voice filling the space. Softer. Still. "You can put that on the counter," she said, closing the door behind me. I made pasta and a salad, and I may have gone a little overboard with garlic bread. That sounds amazing, I said. We moved into the kitchen, and for a while, things felt almost normal. She stirred sauce on the stove, and I helped slice bread and set the table. The dining table had been dressed up a little, with 2 plates, cloth napkins, and a small candle in the middle. A bottle of red wine sat between us. You did not have to do all this, I said. She looked up from the stove. I wanted to, she replied. It has been a long time since I cooked for someone who actually notices the details. We sat down, and the first few minutes were easy. We talked about music, the store, a funny customer who had tried to microwave his phone to dry it out. She told me about a client who wanted a home gym in a room that barely had space for a yoga mat. The food was good, really good, but I could barely taste it over the rush of my own heartbeat. At some point, the conversation shifted. The candle burned lower. The house grew quieter. Claire set her fork down and looked at me. "Can I ask you something real?" she said. I nodded. "Yeah." "What did you really feel when you saw that photo?" she asked. "Not the polite version, the real one." I swallowed. The stem of my wine glass cooled between my fingers. "Why do you want to know?" I asked. "Because," she said, and her voice was steady. "For once, I want to hear the truth. No filters. No one trying to protect me from it." I thought of lying. I thought of shrugging. But I remembered how she had thanked me for not pretending before, so I took a slow breath and went with the truth. "I felt shocked," I said, "because I wasn't ready to see you like that. Not as Ryan's mom, but as a woman. You looked strong and beautiful, and it made my chest hurt in a way I did not understand. And I felt guilty for staring, but I also could not stop thinking about it." Her eyes did not leave my face. The faintest smile touched her lips, but her eyes were shiny, like I had said something that hit a nerve. "Thank you," she said again softly. "I do not get to hear that very often." "You should," I murmured. The silence after that felt heavy but not uncomfortable, more like standing on the edge of something high and looking down. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. "About why I really asked you to come over." "Yeah," I said. My heart pounded harder. She looked down at her hands for a moment, then back up at me. "I have spent most of my adult life taking care of everyone else. Ryan, my clients, my family. After his dad left, I told myself I had to be perfect, strong, put together. No mistakes, no feelings that might get in the way." She paused, her fingers tracing the stem of her wine glass. I forgot what it felt like to have someone see me as more than the responsible one, more than the safe one. "The day I came to get my phone, you looked at me like you saw more than what I show the world, and that scared me, but it also made me feel alive." My breath caught. "Claire," I said carefully, "I do see you. I see how hard you work, how much you give, and I see that you are more than just a mom or a coach. You are someone who deserves to feel chosen." The words slipped out before I could grab it back. Her lips parted just a little. The candlelight flickered between us. "Do you know how long it has been since someone made me feel that way?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I shook my head. "Years," she said. "Longer than I want to admit." She stood up slowly and walked around the table, stopping beside my chair. My pulse was so loud I could feel it in my neck. She reached out and lightly touched my shoulder. "Stand up," she said quietly. I did. We were close now, close enough that I could see the tiny freckles on her cheeks, the faint line between her brows when she was thinking. She looked up at me, her eyes searching mine like she was checking for any sign of doubt. "You are younger than me," she said. "You are my son's best friend. I know every reason this is messy. I know the lines people say we should not cross." "I know," I said. "I have thought about all of that too." "Then why are you here?" she asked. I swallowed, my throat tight, because when I am around you, I feel like I am more than the guy who fixes phones. Because you make me want to be braver, because I cannot stop thinking about you, and because this feels like the first real thing in my life in a long time. Her eyes shone now, not with tears exactly, but with something deep and bright. "Jake," she whispered, Do you understand what it would mean if we keep going down this road? I held her gaze. My hands were shaking, but my voice came out clear. I do, I said, but I also know I do not want to walk away. For a heartbeat, we just stood there, breathing the same air, the candle flickering beside us. Her hand slid slowly from my shoulder down to my forearm, her fingers curling just lightly around my wrist. The touch was gentle, but it felt like a promise and a question all at once. Then, just as the room seemed to tilt closer, her phone buzzed loudly on the table, slicing through the moment like a sharp line. She froze. Her fingers tightened on my arm. We both looked at the phone screen, lighting up with a name we knew all too well, Ryan. For a second, neither of us moved. Ryan's name glowed bright on the screen, buzzing again against the wood of the table. The sound felt loud in the small dining room, like someone had opened a door we thought was locked. Claire let go of my arm and stepped back, the warmth of her touch leaving my skin. Her face changed, not cold, but guarded, like she had pulled an invisible curtain between us. I should take this, she said, her voice low. Yeah, I answered, my throat tight. Of course. She picked up the phone and turned away slightly, like she needed that angle to catch her balance. I watched her press answer and bring the phone to her ear. Hey, honey, she said, her voice shifting into the soft, steady tone I had heard 100 times when she talked to Ryan. Everything okay? I could hear his voice on the other end, but not the words, just the rhythm. Claire listened, nodding a little, her fingers wrapping around the back of a chair. She laughed once, a short, easy sound. The sound still hit me, even if it was not for me. Of course I fed the dog, she said. You know I take better care of him than you do. I stayed where I was, standing by my chair, hands loose at my sides, heart thudding. I suddenly felt like I was floating outside my own body, watching some scene I was not sure how to stand in anymore. She glanced at me once over her shoulder while Ryan was talking. Her eyes met mine, and there was something there. Conflict, care, fear, and something else I did not dare name. Yeah, she said into the phone. Jake dropped your game off earlier. Yeah, he's here. We were just eating. No, you do not need to say thank you again. He knows. My chest tightened. I could hear Ryan's tone light and joking. He had no idea what was happening here, what almost happened. To him, I was still just his best friend hanging out in the house he grew up in. Okay, Claire said, her voice softening. Get some sleep. Tell your dad I said hello. There was a pause, then she added, I love you, Ryan. I looked away, suddenly feeling like I had stepped into something bigger than just my own feelings. This was her son. My friend, the person who had been there for me since I was a kid. Drive safe when you come back, she finished, then ended the call. For a moment, the only sound was the faint buzz of the fridge and the soft flicker of the candle. Claire set the phone down very carefully, like it was made of glass. She stayed there, her fingers resting on it, her shoulders rising and falling with a slow breath. When she turned back to me, her expression was open, but there was a new weight in her eyes. That was your exit ramp, I said quietly, before I could stop myself. She frowned a little. What do you mean? You could tell me to leave, I said. You could say this was a mistake, that we crossed a line. You could go back to being just Ryan's mom, and I could go back to being just his friend. The words hurt as they came out, but they were honest. She studied me for a long moment, like she was looking past what I said and trying to see the fear under it. Is that what you want? She asked. No, I said, without even thinking. But it might be what makes the most sense. Quote. She stepped closer again, slower this time, like each step was a choice. Since, she repeated, a tiny, tired smile tugging at one corner of her mouth. Since has run my life for 20 years. Every decision, every sacrifice, every late night. And where did it get me? She spread her hands slightly like she was showing me the empty air. A good son, I said. A home, a career. A lot of people who count on you. Yes, she agreed. All of that. And I am proud of it. But somewhere in all of that, I lost the part of me that wanted more than just doing what made sense. She looked up into my eyes, and her voice dropped. Tonight did not feel like a mistake, Jake. It felt real. My chest pulled tight, like a fist was inside it. It feels real to me too, I said, but Ryan is my friend. I do not want to hurt him. I do not want to make you choose between your life and this. She nodded slowly, her gaze lowering for a moment. I would never ask you to be a secret I am ashamed of, she said. But I cannot pretend there are no risks. Quote, maybe we do not have to decide everything tonight, I said. Maybe we do not have to know where this goes right away. Her eyes lifted back to mine. There was a small, hopeful light in them now. What are you suggesting? She asked. I took a slow breath. That we start by being honest, with ourselves, with each other. That we see each other like we did that day with the photo. And we go slow. We figure out what this is before we drag anyone else into it. And if it turns into something we cannot hide, she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Then we face that when we get there, I said. Together. Or we stop if it feels wrong. She searched my face for a long moment, like she was trying to find any sign. I was just saying what I thought she wanted to hear. Whatever she saw there must have been enough, because her shoulders relaxed a little. You know, she said softly, when I took that photo, I stared at it for a long time. I almost deleted it. I thought, who am I trying to be? Who do I think I am? Quote. She took one tiny step closer, close enough that I could see the tiny scar near her jaw, a thin white line I had never noticed before. When you saw it, she went on, I was scared. Not because you saw my body, because you saw me. And instead of laughing or turning away, you told me I looked like I knew who I was. No one has ever said that to me. I swallowed hard. I meant it. I know, she said. She lifted a hand, slow and careful, like she was giving me time to pull back. When I did not move, her fingers brushed my cheek, warm and light. I felt every point of contact like it had been waiting there for years. Jake, she whispered, I do not know where this goes. I do not know if it ends in disaster or something good. But I do know that when I am with you, I feel awake. And I am tired of sleepwalking through my life. My heart hammered in my chest. My hands moved on their own. One, resting gently at her waist. The other hovering like I was still asking permission. This is your call, I said quietly. If you tell me to walk away, I will. I will never make you carry the blame for this. She smiled then, a small, real smile that reached her eyes and softened the lines around them. That is exactly why I do not want you to walk away, she said. She rose up on her toes, just a little, and closed the last inch between us. The kiss was not wild or rushed. It was slow and careful, like both of us were scared to press too hard and break something fragile. Her lips were soft and warm, and the world outside her kitchen fell away. No phones, no rules, no years, just the quiet shock of feeling seen and wanted at the same time. When we pulled back, we stayed close, foreheads almost touching, breathing the same air. Are you okay? She murmured. I nodded, my voice rough when it finally came. More than okay. She laughed softly, the sound full of something lighter than I had heard from her in a long time. This is not going to be easy, she said. I know, I replied, but nothing real ever is. We stood like that for another moment, holding on to the small space we had carved out in the middle of our messy lives. Then she stepped back, her hand sliding down to squeeze mine once before letting go. Stay for a while, she said. We can have some of that cheesecake. Talk about anything that is not heavy for a bit. I smiled. I'd like that. As we moved back to the table, plates and candles and crumbs waiting, I realized that the night my friend's mom came to my place for her phone and asked if I had seen the photo was not just some mistake. It was the start of something neither of us had planned for. Something complicated. Something dangerous. Something real.